What up, YouTube? It's your boy, Detroit Love, with another video. Today, we're going to take a look at a gentleman, RWTDBurn. He made something interesting and shared it on the web, and I'm going to share it with you. At the end of each of my videos, I always say, until next time, I'll see you on the web. In this series, I highlight those that I see on the web that I find offering something interesting that I believe you would enjoy seeing. So let's get it started.
The first, and maybe only, of Arcade 1-Up's Pro Series cabs have started to ship a few weeks earlier than expected to the 500 people that were either lucky enough or stupid enough to buy one, just in time for Christmas. For those of you not familiar with Arcade 1-Up's Pro Series cabs, they are nearly the same size as a full-size arcade similar to the XL Series, Golden Tee 3D and NBA Jam, Shack Edition, and are one-piece units, unlike the standard 3/4 cabs that are taller if you choose to set them on a riser. The Pro line was advertised as their high-end unit with upgraded hardware throughout and was marketed for the enthusiasts and naturally priced as such. It also comes with a high-back stool, fatigue mat, and KI-themed tin sign. For those of you familiar with my previous looks at Arcade 1-Up cabs, I'm not doing a general review of the games but rather I'm looking more at the hardware used, particularly looking to see if the Pro achieved its goal of being a premium production and if not, where it fell short. So, with that, let's start with the basics and then move on to the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm not going to bother with a picture of the outside of the box. It's like most of their boxes and doesn't deserve any special accolades, like the Marvel Limited Edition's Iron Man box. That box was something special. This one was a box with pictures and stuff on it. The box was packaged better than most of their cabs, with every component in its own separate box, even the side panels. The padding was better than the usual cabs, but not really the level you'd expect for a premium product. The Dragon's Lair cab was actually packaged and protected better than this one was. Along with the cab itself, you get a KI-themed high-back stool, a KI-themed fatigue mat, and a KI-themed tin sign. From this point on in my review, I will refer to those items as fluff. Along with these fluff items, you also get a number certificate showing that they do plan to only make 500 of these. Time will tell if they stay true to that plan, but so far, the two other cabs that had certificates, Marvel Limited Edition and Burger Time, haven't seen any additional production numbers, so I'll assume they won't for the KI Pro as well. Now that we've covered the fluff and stuff, let's move on to the good. The good. The 19-inch monitor in the KI Pro is thankfully an IPS panel. There was a lot of concern here after Arcade 1-Up put those lower quality TN panels in the Golden Tee 3D and NBA Jam Shack Edition. The panel in KI Pro looks fantastic. Go ahead and take a picture of the display at crotch level on this cab. It still looks fantastic at every angle with no fading of brightness or color changes. Good, the KI Pro comes with a Yamaha speaker system. The speakers have their own amp and are encased in a thick, hard plastic box with breathing tubes going out the front. These are a massive upgrade to the stock speakers in every other cab they've made. You can turn the audio up on these and the highs and mid-range are crystal clear, blasting at you just like you remembered at your local arcade when they had KI sitting front and center when you walked in the door. There is a bit of punch to the bass, but they don't hit as hard as say a cab modified with Logitech Z313 2.1 speakers. They sound so much better though. With this being a premium cab at a premium price, adding a bass unit would have made the audio in the cab indisputably perfect, but even without it, few people will have any complaints about the audio. Good, the KI Pro is the first cab to offer an HDMI port on the PCB. For those wanting to stream their gameplay or hook up a second monitor, you can now do so easily. The back of the cab even has a cutout designed to run an HDMI cable out of it. I honestly haven't tried this feature out, as the last thing I want to do is advertise how much I suck at this game now, so if it ends up not working, please move this to the bad or the ugly section of the review. Good, the look and feel of this cab is fantastic. I honestly didn't like the looks of the chrome trim when I saw the pictures of it, and I was already planning on replacing it with red T-molding, but once I got it in my home arcade, I really liked how it reflects the color of the LEDs. The edges of the cab take on the personality of my home arcade, and I actually like it. Even my 16-year-old daughter said, "Finally you got a cool-looking game." That comment actually stung more than I expected it to. While the coin doors don't actually accept coins, this is the first cab that they light up on, no modding necessary, and they are actually functioning buttons. Push them to drop a credit in. It's kind of a cool feature to have, though I keep forgetting to use them and just hit player 1 or 2 instead 95% of the time. Like the 2XL cabs, these larger, one-piece cabs actually feel like an arcade instead of a really cool toy. Now that we've covered the good and have nothing but happy thoughts in our heads, let's move on to the bad and completely ruin that feeling, shall we? The bad. This was supposed to be in the good section, and for $1 to $2 more per cab it would have been. I mean, we have real Suzo haps here, right? As a haps guy, I was looking forward to this more than anything else, as for once I wasn't going to have to upgrade the joysticks and buttons. Woohoo! Well, unfortunately, that's not the case, leading to one of the few and easily the biggest failure of the KI Pro Series cab. When Arcade 1UP announced Suzo Hap joysticks and buttons, most of us were expecting Suzo Hap competition joysticks and hoped, but didn't expect, that the buttons would have Cherry D44X switches. Well, they didn't use D44X switches in the buttons and instead used Boolean switches. While I haven't had any experience with these previously, I've been informed by those that have used them that they are middle-tier switches. They honestly don't feel bad at all, and when I compared them side by side with IL buttons and Cherry switches, I didn't notice much of a difference. The Booleans were slightly more clicky, bottomed out just a bit harder, and had a slightly longer trigger reset. Miles above any of the stock buttons used in other cabs, but not quite as good as D44X. The joystick, though, is a hard failure. We were expecting Suzo Hap competition joysticks, instead they used the middle-tier ultimates. I hadn't used these before, but it didn't take long to determine there is a big drop-off from the competition to the ultimate joysticks. I'd be scared to even try the low-end super. I love IL Euro joysticks and Suzo Hap competition joysticks. I hate these and had to replace them with ILs within a day of owning it. It was easy to do, except for the E-clip on the back of the Ultimates rods that are clearly bound by some sort of demonic force, and are plug and play for once, but this is the Pro Series, I shouldn't have to be replacing anything. I hope that greater than $1,000 savings on the cost of the KI Pro cabs was worth it for Arcade 1UP, because they are going to catch just as much grief and bad press in the community for this as they did the use of TN panels in the XL cabs. Still bad, yep, the more I think about the joysticks, the more it bothers me. At first, I thought they were at least better than the stock joysticks on other cabs, but even that I'm not sure of, as I see people missing moves on the KI Pro that they can do on their KI 3/4 cab. I'm adding in this video to give a quick look at the difference between the Suzo Hap Ultimates and IL Euro joysticks. You may have to turn on the audio to hear the differences. The KI Pro Suzo Hap Ultimate is on the right and is extremely floaty, has loud, cheaper Boolean switches, and the pivot allows the rod to hit the sides of the square box joystick housing, not something that happens with ILs nor Suzo Hap competition joysticks. The left is an IL. I used a black dust cover, so it looked stock, and they have the quieter Cherry M44X switches, much tighter, more precise 360-degree motion, stronger spring back to neutral, and the pivot prevents the rod from hitting the inside of the joystick housing, so it's a smooth, circular motion. I didn't expect them to use ILs, but Suzo Hap competition joysticks are almost as good and 10 times better than these ultimates. Now that we've covered the bad, let's move on to the ugly. The ugly. While the light-up marquee looks a heck of a lot better than the KI 3/4 cab, that's not really saying much. The lit marquee on the KI Pro still suffers from uneven light distribution, and the black gets washed out towards the center where the LEDs are. It's not overly blinding and completely washed out like most of their mostly black-colored lit marquees, but many of the newer cabs and most of the aftermarket lit marquees look noticeably better. For the price of this cab, the lit marquee should be better. Ugly, the stool is like their other stools, I'm sure, good, not great. I'll probably assemble mine someday, but I already have enough stools. The tin sign is kind of cool and certainly doesn't qualify as ugly, but it's the least interesting item in the fluff. The fatigue mat unfortunately deserves to be filed in the ugly category. For starters, why do we even need this? It comes with a stool, so we are going to be sitting anyway, right? For those that do want to use it, the first thing you'll say to yourself is, why is the mat facing this way? The mat should be placed running horizontally with the cab so both players 1 and 2 could stand on it. Not vertically where you have to stand directly in front of the cab to have both feet on it. I often wonder what kind of people they have coming up with these ideas, as it seems that very basic design reviews would find these issues within minutes. This picture is actually flattering to the fatigue mat. If you look at it in person, the colors are very muted and dull. So now, for the question everyone is waiting for me to get to. Is the KI Pro worth the premium price they sold it for? If I remove how much more I enjoy these larger cabs over the 3/4 sized cabs and instead focus on whether the components to build this cab are truly pro level, then my answer is no, it's not worth it. Do I love it? Yes. Am I happy I got it? Yes. Do I regret purchasing it? Not at all. But if Arcade 1UP is going to try and sell a cab at this price range, it has to hit a home run on every component, and they missed that mark with the fluff, the light-up marquee, and especially with the joysticks. I want Arcade 1UP to continue with the Pro line of cabs, but if they are to be successful, then they need to make some changes. Spend the extra money to put in Suzo Hap competition joysticks for Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct cabs, or Sanwas for Capcom-based Pro cabs. Do a better job on the light-up marquees by using a better light source and moving it back further from the marquee. Drop the useless fluff like the high-back stools, tin sign, fatigue mat, and chrome molding and just sell the cabs by themselves to bring down that price point to around $800, and they'd have a winner.
Thanks for watching Detroit Love. Please subscribe to the channel. Like and share the video. We want to see and read your comments below. And until next time, I'll see you on the web.